Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. I'm going to share my screen and get us going. Um, Here we go. Okay. So we're working on SaturnCI again, my CI platform. Um, and I have a couple failures. I'm actually surprised by these failures. I didn't expect them, and I don't know what the deal is. So we have this one failing test and this other failing test. I'll give a little bit of background here. Um, I've been changing I've been changing some of the conceptual framework of the product. Before I had this area that I called installations, but I found it kind of unclear. Let me actually zoom out a little bit more. Um, I'm at the point where I feel like the product does what it needs to do, and I'm working on getting some people onboarded onto the product. And the way that that is going, which is exactly what I expected, is I try to get somebody onboarded, we run into snags. And then I have to fix the snags. And then I try again, we run into different snags. And we just repeat that cycle with the idea that after we go through that cycle a number of times, somebody will get all the way through and then be able to be a user. So one of the obstacles I found was that sometimes for mysterious reasons, people aren't able to install Saturn CI on their GitHub account, which means that I need to do some repeated testing of the installation process. But the testing of the installation process is quite tedious because it involves me like manually going to GitHub. Okay, and I'll sign in here. I have to manually go to GitHub and uninstall the app and then reinstall it. And it was just very tedious. So now at least I have this link from the app to the GitHub installation so I can conveniently get there. So that's nice. And I think that'll be nice for customers too. And what I am driving toward is I want to make it so that when you click remove account here, so this section used to say installations. I realized that was maybe not really the right way to frame it. Now I'm calling it GitHub accounts. And each account has an installation, um, but installation isn't the main thing. I think account is the main idea here. Anyway, I want it to be so that when we click remove account, it not only deletes the database record in my database, but it makes a call to the GitHub API and uninstalls the Saturn CI app from the customer's GitHub account. However, that has not been working. And I've been trying to figure out why. I don't know why. And so I made
Do
some
you
changes. Uh-huh.
do you have a second GitHub account?
Um, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
mm.
depends how you mean. I have a Saturn CI organization, and then I
Yep.
have my personal GitHub account.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both under the same login, but they're two different accounts.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sort of, I meant, maybe on two different logins, if we are trying
Oh,
to replicate something like that. Anyway, yeah. Okay.
yeah, I just have one of those. So what have I been doing? I don't even remember what I've been doing. Let me see if I can remind myself here. I worked on this just a couple days ago. Okay, so you can see here, this is where I renamed the Saturn installation entity to GitHub account because I thought that name made a lot more sense. Um, oh yeah, and I remember. This is another part of making the onboarding process easier. So let's see. I'm making it so it's less of a big deal to like uninstall and reinstall and all that. So let me remove my Saturn CI account. Okay, now that's gone. Now I'm going to reinstall Saturn CI. Oh, but in order to reinstall it, I have to uninstall it first. See if I can. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to uninstall it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now I should be able to reinstall it. Okay. Oh, and that did not work. Interesting. Hmm. Okay. So it looks like it did install the app, but it didn't come through here for whatever
Hmm.
reason. Maybe there was a callback that didn't work or something like that. Yeah, this GitHub event had a 500 internal server error. Okay, let's see what that's all about. Might have to. Oh, I think I see something here. Yeah, line 12. Okay, undefined method, blah, blah, blah for nil. Okay, GitHub events controller. I must be on the wrong one. Oh, yeah, API. Okay. Okay. I think actually line 18 is the one I'm interested in. Okay. Interesting. So something to do with this payload is no good. Okay. And it says undefined method this for nil. So that must mean that either params repository is nil or params itself is nil, but I don't see a way to know which one. Okay. Um, Maybe let's do a binding.pry here and I'll give that another try. So I will uninstall this and then I will attempt to reinstall it. Okay, params. Okay, params is certainly not nil. Params repository. Ah, interesting. Params repository is nil. Is it perhaps params repository? Hmm. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this. Let this go. And then I'll ask ChatGPT, format this nicely for me. Okay. And where was I looking? I was looking inside of repository. But repository was nil. And I was expecting it to be something like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, so this is not even nearly right. It was hitting the push event here because it says when the event is created, do this. This is what should have been happening. But the action wasn't created apparently. It was something else. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay, so this is actually irrelevant. I'm going to keep it open. Actually, I'm going to close it. Okay, I'm going to close this other stuff too. Okay, so I'm going to go here and uninstall yet again. You can see why I'm wanting to automate this stuff. It's kind of tedious to go through this song and dance every time. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, there is a payload though. Action deleted. Oh, interesting. Okay, so when I deleted it just now, it sent a webhook. And now we do have Saturn CI. Fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. Okay, it's still uninstalled from there. Add account. Okay, payload. Action created. Okay. Case payload action created. Okay. Okay. And I'm curious, I see this in the URL bar, installation ID equals blah, 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 and setup action equals install. But obviously we don't see Saturn here. Before I was like, okay, it's not here, so let me refresh the page. But actually this time instead of refreshing, I'm gonna click here. Yeah. Okay, so it worked, but when I clicked refresh, it hit that same URL again and it had a problem when it did that. So I think when we come here, okay, I'm gonna go through all this again so I can get straight on this. All right, so I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna go here and remove this. Okay, then I'm gonna reinstall Saturn. Okay, yeah, so this is bad because I installed it and it worked, but it looks like it didn't work. And then if I refresh it, it's gonna come here, and so it's gonna do some stuff. When I refresh this, oh, okay. Actually, apparently that's fine. So I do not know what was going wrong before. Well, that's bad. I don't like it when it behaves one way sometimes and it behaves a different way other times, even though I don't know that I did anything different. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked because that's not the thing I was trying to focus on anyway. Um, what I was trying to focus on was this. Okay, so I installed this account. Now I need to add a project to it. Okay. And actually now I can't do this because I run into this error. But what I was trying to show was that when you first install a project, before it would just show a blank screen. It wouldn't start a build running. And that was a problem. Um, because, if you just see a blank screen, there's no build running. It's like, okay, well, how do
Nothing is
I
happening, right? Yeah.
get one going? Yeah. And so I made it so it does get one going. But apparently I made a mistake here. Okay, so now I understand where that happens, and I think that matches one of my errors. Yeah, undefined method, unscoped. Okay, so this is delete build spec. It's interesting because that's not what I'm trying to do here, but let's see what we got here. And that was line 48. Okay. Yep, undefined method, unscoped for an instance of project. Okay. Okay. So how should I be doing this instead? Should I do builds dot unscoped? Maybe that's what I should be doing. So what this is doing here is it's saying if there are any builds, then grab the first one. And if there are no builds, then create one. But that still doesn't work. Undefined method ID. Okay. On which line? Line 26? I must be confused. No method error. Undefined. Oh, projects controller 24. Okay. Oh, okay. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hmm. So I think my logic is mistaken here. So if there are any builds, get the first one. Otherwise, create one. But actually, it's saying create one if and only if. Okay. If there are any builds, use the first one. And this checks to see whether there are any deleted builds. So if there are, we only create a new build if there are no deleted builds. Why did I make it like that? Why did I make it like that? So what's the problem? Originally, I had something like this, and I decided that was a problem. Why did I decide that was a problem? If there are no builds, then create one. Hmm.
Looking at that, that should be sufficient, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't think of why I thought that was bad. So does this pass now? No, it does not. Okay. Different error, undefined method, GitHub private PEM. Okay, that's interesting. Build from commit factory line 16. Okay. Yeah, so I need to stub this client. Most recent commit. Yeah. So I can stub most recent commit. Okay. Allow um build from commit factory. Yeah. Let's see. What is this test even? Okay. Side note, this is outdated language. It shouldn't say job machine, it should say runner. Okay, so this is the test for deleting a build. And this is when the runner still exists on DigitalOcean. Okay. Okay, when we're deleting the build and the build is finished, it still works. Okay. Yeah, and so then when we delete the one and only build, yeah, okay. When we delete the one and only build, okay, yeah, here's the reasoning. When you land on this page for the first time ever, your builds are going to be empty. So we create one for you. But we should only do that the first time you ever land on this page. If it's if it's after that, we should not. And so that's why I was saying if there's any deleted builds, then we don't um, create a build. Um, so I think here's what we need to do. I think in this case, we do the redirect. Also in this case, we do the redirect. But otherwise, we don't do a redirect. Yeah. Let's see if the test passes now. And I think maybe we don't need to do this. We'll see. Okay, it does pass now. Now, if I go to the UI and refresh, okay, okay, no builds yet. That is not right because when there's no builds, it's supposed to create one. All right, I'll deal with that in a second. First, I want to push this fix. Okay, and we'll see what kind of failures we get on this run. Okay, and in the meantime, we have this problem. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We have this problem where if we click on Saturn CI, oh, now we get this because we just uh we just did a push. Okay. So that messes us up because what I want to test is the case where we have like a pristine project. All right, so yet again, I'm going to do the uninstall reinstall thing. So I will uninstall this, remove, add account. Okay, refresh, add project. Okay, so when we land on this page, it's blank, but it shouldn't be blank. Project.builds.any should be false, and project.builds.unscoped.empty should be true. So I was going to do some console digging, but even better, let's go to the test for this. I don't remember what the test for this is. Um, I think maybe it's this one. Okay, these tests all pass. Okay, so when there is a build, it redirects to the build. That's not the scenario here though. When there is no build, then when there is no build and there have never been builds before, then it creates a build. And this test passes. But when we exercise it in the UI, it does not pass. All right, so there's something happening that I don't understand. So now I do, in fact, want to go into the Rails console. I'll grab this project. Okay, p.builds.any. That's false like I expect. Okay, p.builds.unscoped.empty. That's false. Okay, so what's p.builds.unscoped? There are builds. That's surprising. Dot count. 530 builds. Okay. Something real weird is going on. GitHub account dot all. Okay, so there's just the two. Okay. Let's go over to here. So this project ID is 54E blah blah blah. And that matches this. Okay. Um oh, P dot created at 126. That's today. Okay. P dot builds dot count. Okay, so there are no builds. P dot builds dot unscoped dot count. But why the heck are there all these deleted builds? This project was just created.
Something
That,
is happening behind the scenes, isn't it? Hmm.
yeah. Oh, p dot builds dot unscoped dot first. Dot project. Oh, the project ID is different. Okay, so why the heck? Oh, unscoped. It's like totally unscoped. I don't want to do unscoped. I want to do like with deleted. Yeah, okay. Okay, but first I want to make this test fail because this test passes right now, even though my code is broken. Okay. Um, there are builds for other projects. Okay. Okay. And I would expect this to fail. Yep. Okay. So now I can replace unscoped with deleted. Now everything passes, and if I refresh this, great. Now we get a build. Wonderful. And I see our test suite passes here. Okay. Um, change unscoped to with deleted. Okay. So that's great. Um, Now, what do I want to turn my attention to next? I think I want to finally do this thing that I've been driving toward for a while, which is when I click remove account, I want it to actually make a call to the GitHub API and uninstall this installation. Okay. GitHub API remove um, GitHub, no, uninstall GitHub app. Okay. So this gives me how to do it via curl, JavaScript, or the GitHub CLI, but I'm using OctoKit, and this doesn't say how to do it via OctoKit. So first of all, let me find the one that removes it. This is list remove.
Jason, you mentioned OctoKit, so that's not
Uh-huh.
something I'm familiar with. What does that do?
Oh yeah. That is a Ruby wrapper on the GitHub API.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding at least. Okay, here we have remove a repository from an app installation. So we have user installations, repositories, and we send a delete request. All right. So we have to find out how to hit this using OctoKit. Um, so I'll do this. OctoKit, and I happen to know ChatGPT doesn't give good answers for this one because I tried the other day. Okay. Remove repository from app installation. Remove repository from app installation. Isn't it the other way around? We're removing the installation from the repository? Remove a single repository from an installation. Maybe that's the right thing.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's try this. This would be the GitHub accounts controller, destroy. So what we want is GitHub account dot client dot this. And it takes an argument of installation. Is that actually the okay ID? If it's an ID, they should have called it installation ID, but whatever. Okay. Um, GitHub account dot. I don't know that it's called installation ID. It's called GitHub installation ID. Mhm. And then repo, the ID of the GitHub repository. Huh. I don't know if we have that. Okay. Let's see if we can get our hands on that. The ID of the GitHub repository. I'm guessing, okay, so this passed, that's great. Um, I'm guessing that that can be found in the payload that comes back from this. I'm thinking I'm thinking that I want to store like the entire payload that comes back when we do this. Um, so let's see. All right, I'm gonna abort this mission. I'm gonna go to the GitHub events controller. Um, that's not the right one. API GitHub events controller. Okay, so we have this GitHub installation, GitHub events installation. Yeah, so I want to add a payload column here, and I believe I want it to be JSONB. Add um, payload to GitHub accounts. I'll put installation payload. Installation payload. Hmm. Is that what I want? Is that clear? Installation response payload. Yeah. All right. Installation response payload. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So now we have this new column. I'm going to do this work in a new branch. Installation response payload. Add GitHub accounts dot installation response payload. Okay. When I do a schema change, I almost always do it in its own commit and even its own deployment. I'm not going to do its own deployment on this call because deployments never work on Zoom calls for me. Um, let's see. It's like a bandwidth issue or something.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I added this payload column. Now I want to make it so that GitHub event um, installation. All right, so I want to make a test for the payload column. Spec GitHub event installation. Wow, I don't have a test for this. Um, I find that surprising and distressing. Let's see. Okay, spec GitHub events. Huh, I only have a test for push. Interesting. Well, time to add one for installation. I guess I'll follow my same convention here. I'll do make dir spec GitHub events installation models. Okay. And then here I can do spec GitHub events installation models installation spec.rb. All right. And then I need the boilerplate, of course. I'm gonna always omit the RSpec thing. All right. And I need a payload that is at least somewhat realistic. Okay. I can close some of these tabs. Okay. How do I get a realistic payload for installation? Well, one way is to just do it and then grab the payload. I think I'll do that. Okay. So once again, manual uninstall, remove, add account. There we go. Okay. Oh, um, what is happening? Oh, okay. Um, payload. So we're getting a bunch of like stuff happening here. What is all this stuff? Solid cable. Interesting. Okay. So that's like a problem. I don't even know why that's happening. That shouldn't be happening. Because now if I try to do payload, we have all this stuff in the way. Oh, here we go. Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to grab that. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. HTML URL. Grab all this stuff. Most of this is not relevant, but I don't remember what's relevant and what's not. Sender. Okay. Grab all this stuff. Okay. Format that. Okay. I'm going to run this test even though there's nothing in it. It'll at least tell me if there's any syntax errors. Okay. Um, and now I want to make an assertion that um that the payload gets saved on the GitHub account. Okay, so I'll mirror the way this test is working. So this is an installation event. It takes only a payload. Okay. Um, okay. And then I'm going to say describe saving payload. Um, it this is really dumb and I hate it, but let's see. Um, push event dot process. So I'm expecting this to create a GitHub account. Will that get returned by this? GitHub account equals expect GitHub account dot payload to equal payload. I'm gonna get rid of this because that just feels redundant. Okay, couldn't find user, blah blah blah. All right, probably because there is no user. Okay, so we need a user whose GitHub account ID matches the payload. Okay, the UID is supposed to be the GitHub account ID. What the heck is GitHub account ID? Oh, wow. Okay. Um, okay. Account, it's either account ID or sender ID. Okay. Here's an ID for the account. Maybe that's it. Okay. Let GitHub account ID. Whoops, I don't know what the heck happened there. Yes. Oh, it's not supposed to be a string apparently. Okay, and I'll replace this with GitHub account ID. And we don't even need avatar URL. I know that we don't, so I'll just delete that line. Target ID, I'm sure that we don't need that either. Okay. Okay, but we still need to have a user um whose UID matches. So I'm going to do this. Let user, actually, let's put the user up here. Perfect. see what we get now. Okay, still couldn't find user. Hmm. Okay, so let's look here. User.all. Okay, so there's just one user. User.first.uid. Okay. GitHub account ID. Interesting, it's different. Okay. 68, blah, blah, blah. I see. Okay. All right. So I need to undo some stuff because I made the wrong assumption. This is supposed to be 68, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not even going to do the replacement and stuff until that I know that it works. Undefined method payload for an instance of GitHub account. Oh yeah, because that's not what it's called. It's called GitHub installation. Uh, nope, not that. Installation response payload. Okay. And why is it this? I don't know. Um, there we go. Okay. Expected that stuff and got nil. All right, that's what I would expect because we're not saving it yet. Um, yes, exactly. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Um, now I'm gonna uninstall and reinstall. Apparently I killed my server on accident. Okay, uninstall this again. Remove, add account. Huh, and it's not there. Okay, line 12. Oh, we get this undefined method that for nil again. That's interesting. Okay, but I'm guessing that it is in fact installed. Yes. All right, so I'll go through those steps again. Add account. Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. It works sometimes and doesn't work sometimes, and it's totally unclear why. But it's good that it happens with some frequency. It's good that it fails with some frequency because that means it'll be easy to reproduce and diagnose. Okay, now we need to add Saturn CI. Oh, but sorry, before we do that, I want to check the payload. um, GitHub accounts dot all. Sorry, GitHub account dot all. Um, dot last. I can already see it there first. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we can plainly see it right there. We have the installation response payload. And I wanted that because it's tedious to have to uninstall and reinstall anytime I want to persist some new information. I'd rather just have it all there. Um, okay, let's commit this. Persists payload to GitHub accounts. Okay, and how's our tests doing? Oh, this failed. I think that's a flake. Okay, obviously I'll have to address that at some point. Um, okay. Um, Now, why did I do that? What did I want to persist to GitHub accounts that I wasn't already? I don't even remember. Okay, but I'm gonna add the SaturnCI project. Sanjeev, would you happen to have any idea why I did what I did just now? Why I added what I wanted to persist
Ah,
to this? Can you read my mind?
mm. No, I'm just as lost,
Yeah. Okay. Well, for some reason I feel happy that I did what I just did anyway, that I saved the payload. It seems good to have. Um, okay. Oh, I think it's coming back to me. Because we were looking up how to, sorry, this is the wrong one. GitHub Accounts Controller. We were looking up how to make a call to GitHub and remove the installation. And we needed some certain piece of information for that that we didn't have. That's what was up with that. Okay. So I actually want to go back here. GitHub account dot all. And I see that we're at the end of the hour, so I'll wrap up soon. Um, find by name, Saturn, whoops, account name, Saturn CI. Okay. Installation response payload. Okay, so what did it need? GitHub API, uninstall GitHub app. Okay, and we went to remove, yes. And I had searched for this. OctoKit, yeah. All right, it needs the ID of the GitHub repository. Okay, so where in the payload is that? ID of the GitHub repository. Okay, maybe it's this. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Let's see. What's a good way to get all this onto my clipboard? It'd actually be nice if there was a way in the web UI to see that whole payload.
Listen,
Um,
I have to drop off. Okay,
uh-huh.
so, yep. Okay, talk
All right,
next week.
thanks for
Yeah.
coming.
Okay,
See
see
you
ya.
next
Bye bye.
time. Bye. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to stop my screen share. Okay. Okay. Well, it's just you and me, dear viewer. I'm gonna keep going a bit here. Okay. I think I do want a way to see the payload. I think it'll just make troubleshooting easier. All right, looks like that is gonna pass. So given that that passed, I will merge it. Whoops. Okay. All right. So we want like a show page for a GitHub account. Maybe it's appropriate to make this created link the show link. Or maybe there should be like tabs or something. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. Hmm. Okay, maybe I'll make a link that says details. Okay, GitHub account index. Okay, let's put it right before remove account. Wonderful. There's nothing there, of course. GitHub accounts controller. Great. No view, of course. Um, Show. We can do pre um GitHub account dot installation response payload. Okay. I wish it wasn't like that. Okay. Also, let's do this. Yes. SaturnCI. Yeah. Okay. Um, so how do we like format this? I'm going to take my schema and show it to ChatGPT so it has the right context. How do I format the payload nicely? Hmm. Okay. I don't know if I've ever heard of JSON pretty generate. Hmm. But isn't installation response payload a Ruby hash? JSON.pretty generate. Okay. Oh, well, that's nice. Okay. And the reason I wanted this was that so I could I could easily get it onto the clipboard. So let's do this. Okay, and what was I after? I was after the ID of the GitHub repository. What value is the ID of the GitHub repository? Okay, 6488 blah blah blah. Okay, that's interesting that it's under repositories. Why is the key called repositories instead and not repository? Okay, yeah, but why could there be multiple repositories? Hmm. Okay, let's think about this. Why could there be multiple repositories? Um, okay, so this was an installation. Maybe you can install the app on multiple repositories at once. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so here we just need the repository of the one. Okay. Yeah, this isn't what we want. We want to remove the repository. We want to remove the account from the app installation. Or as I said before, we want to remove the app installation from the account. Okay. So REST API endpoints for GitHub app installations. List repos. So this is like repository centric. Okay. So when I go to here, is this installation installed on a repository? I mean, in a way, but if I had multiple repositories here, they'd all be listed here. It's not like I have separate installations. It's not like I have one installation per repository. I want to remove the installation from the entire account. Okay. Via the GitHub API, how do I remove a GitHub app installation from a GitHub account as opposed to just a GitHub repository? Okay. So, given that, I will search for OctoKit delete installation. It's like I've already searched for that. Okay. Delete installation. Okay. So I can commit this at GitHub accounts controller show. Um, delete installation. Okay. GitHub accounts controller. Delete installation. I'm going to do this in a transaction. Um, okay. Client equals get actually I can just do this. GitHub account dot client dot delete installation. It just takes the installation ID. Is that really what it is? It's GitHub installation ID. Okay, and it's OctoKit client. Okay. Okay. Um, if everything is the way it should be, then that should work. But I think I actually tried this before and it didn't work, so I don't have high hopes. Yeah. A JSON web token could not be decoded. This is exactly what I got last time. Okay. So I'll share this. I don't have high hopes that ChatGPT is going to be able to help me with this, but I'll share that and I'll share this. It'll probably just say, like, ensure you've done all the right stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what it's telling me, which is not helpful. Um, okay, so I am going to um I'm going to go to my GitHub token code, and I have a suspicion that this GitHub app ID thing that I'm putting here is not the right one. I think maybe it has to match. Well, no, I don't know. Okay, what is GitHub app ID? Okay, I asked this before and I don't remember, but like, what is ISS? It's issuer of some sort. Okay, issuer. Okay. The GitHub app ID can be found in your app settings on the GitHub developer settings page. Okay, let's see what it is. Um, can I do this? GitHub app ID. I think probably not. Yeah. Maybe I can do it here. GitHub app ID. Okay. Also, this should be double quotes. Also, there should be no fallback here because if it's missing, then that's like just broken. Okay, GitHub app ID. And I'm sure that that's right because it's working for everything else. Okay, it should contain the GitHub apps ID, but what do you mean by the GitHub apps ID? Which GitHub app? The specific GitHub app that you have created or are using. As in the app that's installed on the user's account. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now it seems like that token should work because again, the token works for everything else. Well, what exactly do I mean by everything else though? Where else is this token used? Okay, that's not the same kind of thing. GitHub token. Okay, this is also used. Okay, that just returns the token without actually using it. Okay. And in the GitHub accounts controller, um, we're using the token um, to make a client. Let's see if this token works for anything at all. Okay, client equals GitHub account dot octokit client. Um, oh, okay. Let's actually get one. Um, GitHub account dot first. Yeah. Okay. Client equals SaturnCI dot octokit client. Okay, now let's do some kind of test. I have an instance of octokit client. What's a simple and easy test I can do to verify that it's working? Okay, client.user. Interesting. Resource not accessible by integration. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Maybe okay, OctoKit client new bearer token. Maybe bearer token is not the thing. Maybe it's access token. Yeah. Client.user. Yeah, still doesn't work. Okay, let's look at the OctoKit docs. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, access token. All right. So, all right, how do I do? How do I make a token? Hang on a second. Maybe this token has to be, yeah, maybe it has to have this specific app ID. Okay. What is this GitHub app ID? Well, seems like it should still be Saturn. But also, why is that even relevant for authenticating to this? Okay. How can I? Oh, installation token equals client.create, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, installation ID will be GitHub account dot GitHub installation ID. Not GitHub account, but SaturnCI. Okay, a JSON web token could not be decoded. Okay, but maybe this is kind of circular. Um, yeah, what the hell? Okay. Did I ask just now how I can get? No, no, no. Okay. How can I get an access token? Okay. Well, I'll just tell it I'm using a GitHub app, not an OAuth app. Okay, that looks a bit different. Okay. So I think maybe I'll put this stuff in here for a moment at least. Okay. And I can put this stuff here. Your GitHub app ID. Um, yeah, so I guess for this, yes. Okay, private key PEM. Hmm. Okay, so here I'll put private PEM. Yes. I guess we don't need this private key thing here. I'll get rid of this. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Okay, then we generate the JWT. Okay. And then we initialize the client, and we do use bearer token apparently. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll just get rid of that crap. Okay. Oh, and I guess like if we're passing this, like no reason actually to do it like that. Um, private pem, private pem equals that. Also, no reason to pass this app ID. Put that there. Okay. So this is fairly similar to this other one. Oh, and then we're getting a create app installation access token. Interesting. Oh, and this is very similar stuff. Okay. Well, this is like concerning. Okay. I'm going to end it here. I've been doing this video for an hour and a half, and I don't think I'm going to get to the bottom of this within the next few minutes. So let's review what we did accomplish. We got the test passing again. We added this page. Not much else. All right. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.